Let's go to Brad Raffensperger. You know he's become a household name over these last few weeks since the election. He's Georgia's Secretary of State in Atlanta with us right now. Secretary, very nice to have you back again. Thank you for coming in.
Good morning, Neil.
All right, the president is going to be in Valdosta later on tonight. Are you going to be there?
No, spending time with my family tonight.
Okay, just that? There's no personal slights, or the president's been very critical of you and your stewardship of this election? No?
Absolutely not. As Secretary of State, I really have abstained from being involved in Republican Party activities just so that the other side could never say that I was so involved that I was trying to push it one way for our party. I'm a conservative Republican, always have been, but I think it's best on issues of election that everyone sees that I just, walk down that middle line.
Lieutenant Governor, when I had him last week, sir, was saying much the same thing. He's going to spend it with his kids. I don't know what the governor's plans are, but as you know, the president's very critical of the vote counting going on. I think you're on your third vote right now. Are you satisfied with the results of these repeated votes, that they're kind of mirroring what they were in the beginning? End of story?
As a Republican, I'm disappointed in the results, but the results have shown that the results reported on election night were supported by the audit. We did a 100% hand recount, retally, during the audit process, which verified the accuracy of the machines and the accuracy of the count. And now we've done a recount, running all those ballots, those paper ballots, through again, and we've really gotten the same results, virtually the same. And so the results are the results. I'm disappointed as a Republican, but those are the results.
So this hullabaloo over signatures, Secretary, and checking them against the original signatures, that's, I think, what the president wanted you to look into. I think the governor was suggesting it. Can you update me on that?
Many people have spread misinformation. We actually strengthened signature match this year. We recognize that there's been a huge increase in absentee ballots. So what we did is we made sure that our election officials in the counties got GBI training on signature match. When you made a paper application, we signature match that ballot or that application with your signature. When the ballot came in, we signature matched it again. So we have double signature match. But also we stood up a new online absentee ballot portal, which for the first time introduced photo ID. See, I inherited this 2005 absentee ballot law that was signed into law by Governor Sonny Perdue and supported by now the party chair, David Schaefer, when he was state senator. He was also a former governor's floor leader for Senator Perdue. That's a bill that we had, and no one had done anything. We strengthened it with photo ID this year, and over 400,000 voters used that.
You know, your office has claimed, sir, not you specifically, but that the language the president has used has heightened the fear of violence against election officials, including those in your office, including you, I might point out. You think that's true?
Well, I do know that actually we had a Senate Oversight Committee meeting earlier this week, and a state senator's life has been also threatened, and that's been in the newspaper. And I'm really grateful that the Lieutenant Governor and the majority leader of the Senate have condemned that. The senators recognize that that's just way over the line, and when the state senators have threatened also just for holding a hearing, that's way over the line. It's not appropriate. We'd have to condemn that whenever we see it.
A Trump surrogate, a lawyer, was speaking earlier this week, Secretary, as you know, saying don't even vote in the Senate primary, and other Republicans piled on him for saying that. But are you worried that this gets to be such a distraction as a Republican that it is going to hurt their chances in the runoff election on January 5th?
Well, when someone says that, I have to even question if they are a Republican. It's just total foolishness. I'm going to be voting for my 2 Republican senators, and I hope every Republican gets out there to vote for our Republican senators. And as Secretary of State, we're going to run
even though those 2 Republican senators wanted you to step down, you're still going to vote for them?
I'm a conservative Republican, and I believe in the Republican ideals and what we stand for. Yes, I'll be voting for my 2 senators.
You know, Secretary, this has been a very arduous 4+ weeks since the election. You've encountered the wrath of the president, the wrath of these 2 senatorial candidates. You're just doing your job. You're trying to do it the best way you can. Multiple counts have proven the same results. So accuracy does seem to be on your side here, but the political environment is such that you're persona non grata. Does that bother you? Does that make you think twice about your future in the Republican Party in Georgia? How politically active you'll remain after this? What?
I've had a tremendous outpouring of support from traditional conservative Republicans. And many people, once they really take a look at the numbers, the cold, hard facts, Senator David Perdue got over 19,000 more votes in the metropolitan region than President Trump did. Senator Perdue was able to message to a broader coalition of voters, and he had great success. It didn't get him over the 50%, so I'm very hopeful for where he'll be on the runoff election. And so that's really what happened. When you're in an 80% Trump district, you don't understand, but there are the different constituencies throughout the state, and you have to have a message that reaches all voters.
So if what you're saying is accurate, the problem was Donald Trump. It wasn't these other Republican candidates who ended up doing pretty well statewide.
Senator Perdue ran a good race, and I feel really confident that he's going to win and prevail. Speaking as Republican, not as Secretary of State, but speaking as Republican, I feel really confident in his ability to bring it all home on the runoff race.
Secretary, can you update on a separate matter, this look into progressive groups that are encouraging folks who are outside the state to vote in the state, essentially to move in and then do whatever they want, move out afterwards? That is technically illegal, but where do you stand on this?
Well, it's not just it's illegal. It's not just technical. It is illegal.
Okay.
And so
Thank you for explaining that.
We have 4 groups that we're already investigating. In fact, my son passed nearly 3 years ago, and we got 2 additional postcards for him to register to vote. In the last time when I talked about the 3 groups, that's 5 times he's received postcards. There's an attorney in Florida that is talking about moving to Georgia to vote. We're investigating that. And thankfully, I requested from the governor yesterday for additional investigative support from the GBI, Georgia Bureau of Investigation, so we could have ongoing investigations of not just our past presidential election, but also future perhaps malfeasance and illegalities that these outside groups might want to do for the runoff. We want to make sure Georgians are voting in this Georgia election.
But we're told that there's a possibility that hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals have already taken up that cause to be in the state, to vote in the state, and be there for the runoff.
We are going to challenge the residency of any people that have moved into this state. We want to make sure that these are permanent residents. They moved here for a business transfer.
But how would you know? How would you know, Secretary, the difference between someone who might be coming in?
Because the law is quite clear that they have to have a permanent intent to stay here, and our investigators will be researching every single issue that is brought to our attention, and we'll be really scouring through that. Also, local officials can challenge people's residency, and that's already in law. So I fully expect that both political parties will be engaging in that to make sure that only Georgians are voting in this election for Georgians.
Secretary, thank you very much. I had read about this issue with your son and all these the ballots that came back, and people have no idea what you have dealt with, but you've held up pretty well through all of this. Secretary, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil. God bless you.